Hello, I'm Jill Sterrett, and I'm bringing you this week's Design Sprint Short. Now, I'm going to talk to you today about one of my favorite design sprint activities, journey mapping, which also sometimes goes by the name experience mapping. Now, these maps plot out the experience of a user in detail from beginning all the way through to the end of a particular solution and can reveal hidden opportunities for improvement. We typically use this exercise to map out the current experience, not the future experience, which helps us to identify places in the journey that could use a little bit of design love. The first thing to do is to define the critical path or stages the persona moves through from the beginning of the experience to the end. Remember, this is a map of the entire journey, not just the product flow. So your first stage in the critical path will probably be something more like awareness of need and not landing page number 1. Many times, different personas will have the same critical path, so this is a step that you may need to complete only once for all the personas you're doing a journey map for. After you've defined each stage in your critical path, the next thing you can do is to create swim lanes for goals, actions, tools, and emotional state. Now, there should be one goal per stage, and remember, these are going to be realistic goals of the current user, not necessarily aspirational goals that you have for a user navigating through your flow. When it comes to actions, though, there can be many per stage, and sometimes you're going to find that there are a lot in certain stages. You can even go a layer deeper here by defining what tools are used for each of the actions, but this is a level of detail that isn't always necessary if you're pressed for time. Once you have the actions documented, it'll be easy to draw the emotional state, noting the highs and the lows of the experience. Or, if you're like our designer Trish, you could draw emoji faces instead of drawing a line. Next, you're going to ask the team to take a step back and look at everything they've put up on the wall so far. The goals, the actions, the tools, and the emotional state. And you're going to ask them to define the pain points for each stage in the journey. A lot of times, this works better as a solo or silent activity rather than a group discussion. And then you're going to finish out your journey map by conducting a dot vote to determine the most severe pain points that you're going to want to solve for moving forward. And remember, whenever you're doing a dot vote, it's not necessarily about what you feel is the most important thing. It's about looking at it through the eyes of your user or your persona and making sure that you're making decisions that are in their best interest. Now, if a journey map is something that you think would help your team, you need to be aware that this activity can take a good chunk of time to complete, depending on the level of detail and the number of swim lanes that you choose to include. Be sure to block off at least 1 to 2 hours so that you can do it justice. And if you've got enough people, you can actually divide and conquer to get these done faster if you're looking to do multiple for different personas. As a facilitator, you've got to keep people honest. People can get into a really bad habit of idealizing the experiences that they've created. So be sure to pull in stories from customer interviews that you've conducted to make sure that you're bringing in the relevant pain points. Last but not least, remember to include the parts of the experience that live outside of your solution. You're aiming to get the holistic view, not just to understand your flow better. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week where we'll be talking about a similar activity, but it has an interesting twist. As always, if you've got questions or just want to talk design sprinting, drop us a note at ds@freshtilledsoil.com.